The development process for a Legend of Zelda game is fascinating to see. Obviously as fans, we don't see literally the entire process, but Nintendo are pretty good when it comes to revealing of how some ideas came to be, unused ideas, and even the way the game could have differed. From art style to story, all the way to music, unused ideas are extremely fun to look at and fantasize over how a game could have been different to what we see in the final product. For example, Skyloft in Skyward Sword was originally conceptualized to look like this, but ended up like this. That's just one small example though. The latest Zelda installment, Breath of the Wild, is absolutely packed with unused ideas via the Creating a Champion book and direct information from Nintendo. Today, I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of the ways this game could have been very different. As you know, we have all come to know and love this open-air adventure of the wild, but what if some key parts of the game were very different from what we know? Now that is interesting. Obviously, all of this can be perceived very differently by any individual person. This is just what I think about these unused ideas, but feel free to drop your thoughts down below in the comments at the end of the video. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in to get featured right here, and let's get into the video. The champions of 100 years ago were a brilliant part of Breath of the Wild's story. Despite only being in memory, they were really well written and developed characters, but the cast of Calamity we know and love may have been a little bit different. On page 83 of Creating a Champion, the first page going over the champions, we see initial ideas for the 5 champions of Hyrule: the Hylian, Goron, Zora, but no Rito or Gerudo. Rather, a small Kokiri, Picori looking character, and a Sheikah looking character. Obviously these 3 made it into the final game, but the other 2 didn't. Now I'm just guessing that this character is Sheikah, going off their purple outfit, and what looks like a very rough eye, a feature common in Sheikah designs. The Sheikah in Breath of the Wild are more red themed, but in the past, they were always purple, so that's why I assumed this. As for this little fella, there is a note at the top of the page stating that they resemble a Kokiri, so was this perhaps supposed to be a Kokiri, and that at some point they were planned to be in the game? Who knows, to be honest. I've speculated in the past that this character was part of the Minish, as they were also conceptualized to be in the game at one stage. It may not seem like a big change, but when you really think about it, the entire landscape could have been different. The big question here would be, who does the Kokiri looking champion replace? The Rito or Gerudo? I would say as well as them, but then you'd have even more champions, and that didn't ever appear to be an idea. Perhaps the Rito weren't to be, and that whole area of the map would be more of a woodlands area. Perhaps the Lost Wood and Great Deku Tree area would have stretched all the way across here, with this area being Kokiri Woods, then moving into the Lost Woods and eventually the Great Deku Tree. Now that would be cool. Obviously the Sheikah champion would be located within Kakariko Village. Something else that may have been different is the Divine Beasts. We do have some concept art for them, but it's hard to say what could have gone where. We do however see what is believed to be an unused Divine Beast prototype inside the Heiteno Tech Lab hanging on the ceiling, which we'll look at more in depth very soon. The champions of Hyrule played a crucial role in building the story of 100 years ago, and it's fun to think about how drastically different it could have been with something as simple as a different character. The entire landscape could have been different. Plus, if we didn't have the Rito, we wouldn't have the whole Rito and Zora conundrum. But then we'd lose Rivali. We need Rivali. Moving swiftly back to that Divine Beast prototype, it can be found hanging from the ceiling in the Heiteno Tech Lab. It's never mentioned in game by Pura or Robbie, but given its design and features, it's fairly clear that this is of Sheikah origin and likely a Divine Beast model. This is backed up by the Divine Beast concept art as we see a couple of similar looking ideas. They are based underwater, like a sort of mechanical whale, and we know all the Divine Beasts are based on animals, so this makes sense. There are 2 specifically that resemble this one. It's pretty fair to say that the model we see here is derived from these ideas, so much so that it must have been close to making it into the game somehow. The question is, whose Divine Beast would this have been? In my opinion, there are 2 possible answers: the Zora or the Sheikah. It could have potentially been the Zora Divine Beast because of, well, water. But say the Zora had Varuta anyway, then maybe this was the Sheikah Divine Beast and was located in Heiteno Bay. I mean, we saw concept art of a Sheikah champion, it's not too far-fetched. Honestly though, I'm swaying more towards the Zora, but we can't say for sure. It would have been really cool to have an underwater Divine Beast, mainly because of the potential mechanics that could offer. Maybe having to open up a blowhole to allow water inside whilst fully submerged, with the water level being necessary for certain puzzles. I'm not quite sure what the story behind the Titan would be, but I'm sure they'd figure something out if it ever came to be. I have discussed this a while back in an older video, but since then my views on this have changed, hence why I included it in this video. If you'd like to check that video out, the link can be found below. Some would say the enemy variety in Breath of the Wild wasn't good enough. Personally, I think more variety would have been nice, but what we got was pretty good. But would more really be a good thing? If we take a look at some very early enemy designs for the game, you might change your mind. Yup, these are pretty well known nowadays, but if this is your first time seeing them, I bet that you were just as shocked as I was when first seeing them. Something a little bit like this. These are real ideas that were drawn out for Breath of the Wild. Like, just imagine travelling across Hyrule Field and this thing comes flying around the corner. I'd scream. They are 10 times more terrifying than the Guardians if you ask me, at least visually. I'd imagine they were conceptualized very early. Well, before the tone of the game was even set, as they seem a little bit dark and scary for this world. I'm not sure whether they were supposed to be overworld enemies, bosses, or maybe even the Guardians themselves, but whatever they were going to be, that's terrifying. They would make for fantastic dungeon bosses if the game had dungeons though. Prior to Breath of the Wild really taking shape, we did see a demo of what a potential HD Zelda game could look like, because at the time, Skyward Sword was Nintendo's most recent 3D game, a non-HD game. This demo is clearly based on Twilight Princess, and yes, we did get Twilight Princess HD, but the way Goma, Twilight Princess's spider boss, looks in this demo does look like a suitable art style for some of these ideas to be brought to life. Who knows, maybe we'll see it in a future game. Or this demo will stay as a demo and save us from many nightmares. Whilst the game lacked the classical Zelda dungeons, it did feature 120 mini-dungeons in the form of Sheikah shrines, underground structures built by the Sheikah long ago. They all look the same in terms of textures, patterns and material, like the Divine Beast share looks. These mini-dungeons all have the Sheikah tech design on them, but this could have been insanely different if the developers had chosen a different route. I don't know. At a Nintendo presentation back in 2017, the developers were showing off how the game came to be, along with various other things about development, and something that caught my eye was the shrine concepts, specifically this fully golden shrine. It's only one image of the inside, but man, it looks so spectacular. It gives me Indiana Jones vibes, more of a long lost temple opposed to an artificially built temple with technology. We also get a look at what these golden shrines could have looked like on the outside at the entrance. What an extraordinary design this is. If this had gone through to the final game, then maybe Sheikah architecture as we know it may have been very different across the entire game, perhaps more based around gold and other metals. This would likely affect how the Divine Beasts looked, the Guardians, and even Sheikah tech such as weapons and the sleigh. Heck, maybe even the Shrine of Resurrection would have been solid gold on the inside. Honestly speaking, if this design had gone through, I feel it would have captured a more ancient, long lost, but also protected feel. The shrines we got still have that, but I feel this golden design would do it better. Maybe that's just in my head. Maybe they'd actually look hideous in the actual game. I do find it really cool and fascinating though, just looking at all the different ideas they came up with before finalizing the design. It really shows how much thought goes into just coming up with this design. From champions to enemies, divine beasts to shrines, the Breath of the Wild that we all know and love could have been extremely different. Whilst that is always going to be a given, it is interesting to take a look at parts of the game that could have been different. Thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing for more fabulous Zelda content. What are your thoughts on this? Could you imagine Breath of the Wild in this way? It's certainly interesting to think about. Leave a comment below with your favourite part that could have been different, and look out for my replies. Oh, and if I'm a little slow this week at getting to your comments, it is because as this video goes live, I am actually high in the sky. I'm currently flying to Germany from Scotland to see my partner. This has been around 10 months in the making due to COVID restrictions, and we're finally able to see each other, so if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you'll definitely be seeing a lot about it. I am so incredibly happy to finally be able to travel there, so I hope you all understand. As always, a huge special thank you goes out to all of my supporters across Patreon and YouTube, with special shout out going out to Brian, who joined through Patreon. Thank you very much. If you'd like to join them and get yourself a shout out upon joining and your name at the end of every video, then consider supporting. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.